Rabotai, Boker Tov, Yom Rishon, Aliyat Rishona, Pashat Chukat. The parasha this morning, Chukat, deals with the topic of death. Not only in the beginning, does discuss how to metaher, how to purify those who become tameh, but the parasha also deals with the tragic loss of two of our great leaders, of Miriam and Aharon. And we'll see the connection later on. But in the first Aliyah, we're being given a commandment, what we call a chok, to take a para aduma, referred to as a red heifer, asher lo ala ol, that was never ever used in any purposes, asher en bamum, that has no blemishes, fully red, and it is brought to Elazar Kohen. His job is to take this cow, do shechita, burn the entire cow, add into it some ingredients, hyssop, cider, a cedar tree, and a little bit of hyssop, burn it, and he has a person called the soref who helps him burn this korban, and then comes the me'asef who gathers these ashes. These ashes are then used with water to metaher people who have become tameh. We have not told yet who or what is tameh, but this is what will be used for those who are tameh. Those involved in the process of making these para aduma ashes with the water themselves become tameh, but their tumah only is for one day. The Aliyah then ends off by telling us that all those who come in contact with a dead body, either by negiyah, by touching the dead body, or by being in the ohel with a dead body, or by walking over something of the dead body, all of these people are what we call tameh for 7 days. And they're required to be sprinkled with this mei tahara, with this meim chayim, on day 3 and day 7, and only after the end of day 7 are they tahor. During this time, the parasha tells us that during this tum'ah, they cannot come to the ohel, to anywhere kodesh, at punishment of karet. And this is where the first aliyah ends. And so here at this point, I'd like to ask us to think. First of all, why are we dealing so complicatedly with the concept of death? And then why is it introduced as chok? So Chazal, and I just want to give it some ideas so you can think of it yourself throughout the day, tell us that a chok is a more complicated mitzvah than a tzivui. In total, between chok and tzivui, mishpatim, we have 613. Some of those 613 are called a chok because, from what Chachamim tell us, they're much more complicated to understand for us to understand. Well, part of the chok does have to make some sense to us, and we can see from over here that what really is happening is that death is probably the most traumatic thing that we go through in life. That's probably our biggest fear. It's a fear that we can't get over because it is going to happen to every person in this world. And therefore the parasha tells us, listen, this idea of death is part of life. So this mayim that you're going to put upon those who came in contact with death will give you this mayim hayim. And what we're basically telling ourselves is that when we do go through tragedy like death, we have to go through a recovery. It may take us one day if you're associated somewhat with it, but if you're directly involved with tum'ah, with a dead body, it may take up to 7 days. And therefore we have what we will call today a post-traumatic stress disorder, where you're able to get over the death of a person either that you knew or came across and be able to deal with the tragedy of death, and you continue to live with life.